known as the wife of PJ's Projects. I wanted to introduce you to our garden for the year. Part of what I want to do is kind of give people inspiration that gardening doesn't have to be an exact science, and you don't have to be perfect at it. If you are looking for expert gardening advice, you need to go somewhere else. But if you want to learn from some things that we've done and just some inspiration on how we have changed our methods over the time, then stay here, okay? So when we first moved here a few years ago, it was in December. The last thing we wanted to do was prep the garden. We wanted to get moved in and plan about the holidays. So we really didn't do anything that year. That spring, we tilled the ground, we planted a few things started, that was great. It just wasn't as great as we wanted. And the weeds took over like crazy. So we decided to do something different the next year. I had done some research on back to Eden gardening, deep mulch gardening, things like that. So we went out and we purchased a small wood chipper. We had some areas that also needed some cleaned up, some branches that had come down, so we thought we would just use it for both. We would clean up the area, we wood chip all that stuff, and we put it on the garden. Unfortunately, that didn't work. It was kind of like cleaning your bathroom with a toothbrush. It just was not the tool for the job. We used it for what we did, and we got a little bit of the garden done. That would have been the fall before last. And so last spring we were able to plant in some of that, but it just wasn't exactly what we wanted. But the things that we were able to plant in there did amazing. So it gave us encouragement to keep going. So this past year in 2020, we made friends with some local tree trimmers when they were cutting down the trees for the electric company. And for just a couple of thank yous and a few snacks, they were happy to drop off wood chips for us. So they dropped it off at our driveway, we hauled it down here, and we made this area here. In addition to that, it is close to our chicken coop. From the time that we stop harvesting till about February-ish, whenever we clean out the chicken coop, we bring it all out and put it over here. We just kind of throw it, sometimes we rake it about, and when I say we, it's usually my sons. They're the ones that usually do it. I hate cold weather, and they're usually on top of it. The reason we stop around February is because chicken poop is high in nitrates. That is considered a hot fertilizer. It will burn your plants. If you put them on there while your plants are trying to grow, it is not good. You need to let it cool down over time, let those nitrates go down. So we don't put them directly onto the garden after February-ish kind of thing. So you will see some straw. Areas that you see the straw through here are areas that we have cleaned out the chicken coops and just kind of brought it over here. Again, we kind of rake things up and we look through. The great thing about the mulch and things like that is that it allows more aeration, which is what we try to do when we till. So you have the aeration, you have all the good decomposition and things like that going on underneath. So if you come a little closer, we'll go down through here and dig, and I'll show you a little bit what's going on. In addition to all that, it also helps with keeping the moisture in. So last summer, we had to irrigate. Unfortunately for us to irrigate, we just basically brought a big, huge, long hose down here with a sprinkler head on it, and we irrigated that way. It was a pain in the butt. We didn't like it, and it's just not fun. So hopefully we won't have to do that as much, because again, let's look a little closer. So as you go down, we're not even going too far down. We haven't even got down to the ground level yet, and you can see the moisture in here. And if you can tell, as you keep going down, just the dark decomposition, the darkness of it. Part of it's the moisture. The other part of it is just the good nutrients that you're going to develop as those things decompose. The other day we were able to come through here, we saw all kinds of worms, and that's awesome. There we go. I don't know if you can see that in here. They're trying to run away from me. But you can also, this area is just full of worms. These little worms do an amazing job for us. They help to aerate. They help to, their worm castings also help for fertilizer for our plants. And they just do a good job here. So we're trying to work with nature instead of against nature for our garden. And it's benefited us before, so we're going to keep trying to do that. So that's what we did as far as preparation. Now, let's go see what we've got in our garden so far. So, I don't know about you, but in the fall, I love beautiful mums. I buy a few, I put them out on front of the porch and things like that. Last year, I heard that if you put them in the ground, sometimes they'll come back. Don't know if they will, but I stuck them in the ground. It's not looking too promising. They still kind of look kind of dead, but you know, you try to see what happens. Anyway, so over here, we have our garlic. We had our garlic somewhere else last year, and then my husband decided to put the sawmill there, and so we moved the garlic down here. These are actually all from our harvested garlic last year, which is just kind of cool because we didn't have to buy these. This is what we used from then. And as you can see, they're coming up and they're so pretty. So we're gonna have some garlic this year. So as you come over here, I don't know how much you kept up with what we've got going on, but last spring we built a greenhouse. It was so much fun to try new things. So at the end of the year, I started planting a bunch of seeds just to see what would happen. A lot of them died. But these things all lived. Unfortunately, the labels that went to them didn't. So I don't really know all of what they are, but they lived through the winter in an unheated greenhouse. So I thought they need to come out here and have a chance. So this is just the area of all the things that didn't die in the greenhouse. So you can see that there. As you come through, you see a little bit of lettuce. This is some celery. Now this celery right here is organic celery that I bought from the grocery store. We eat the organic celery, we take the bottom part of it, we put it in some water, we let it grow up, and then we put it in dirt. It's starting to come up here. Over here we have some collards. Again, they were the champions that made it through last winter. They didn't grow in the greenhouse by any means, but they didn't die. So I brought them out here and we're going to see what happens. Those have kind of bolted on me, but I probably need to start thinking about harvesting some of those. I've eaten collards. I have not harvested and actually cooked them myself, so that's going to be something different I need to figure out. Here are some cabbages. Again, something that they just didn't die. I was so impressed, and so they're here. We're going to see what happens, okay? And then as you keep going, we came out here a few weeks ago and direct seeded some peas and some spinach. And as you can start seeing, our peas are starting to come up. Real excited about that. Going to have to get some trestles out here. I don't know if you heard my rooster. We're going to have to get something for them to climb up on here in a little bit. But it's real exciting to see them come up. And my cameraman just stepped on one. But if you can see here, we have some more peas coming up here. And as you come down here, I'm not sure if I haven't seen the spinach come up yet. We'll see what the spinach thinks about this growth and everything too. But another thing that we do that unfortunately looks a little redneck, but there was a reason behind it initially, is that we use wine bottles to mark our rows and stuff. I don't exactly do straight rows. Drives my husband batty. I will when we direct seed stuff, but honestly, whenever it's ready in the greenhouse, I just come down here and plant it, whether I have one or I have 10. So it's not exactly great pros on how we do stuff. So I need a lot of markers. I don't want to spend a lot of money on them. And in addition, we have issues with deer. So last year I had this bright idea that we were going to use those little metal poles kind of things that you can put in the ground and then use these wine bottles on them, and that they would rattle just a little bit to keep the deer away. Sounds like a great idea, but those things cost money, and 2020 wasn't exactly great to us, so we didn't want to spend money on stuff that we didn't have to. But we always have little pieces of wood, so kind of scrap wood and stuff like that. So that's what we did here. We've got some scrap pieces of wood, and then we put the wine bottles on them. One great thing about it is that a lot of people do not like the idea of gardening as far as coming out, getting in the hot sun, pulling weeds, and getting dirty. But you tell them that you need some help drinking some wine for some gardening, you've got plenty of friends. Anyway, that's just how we have started our garden. I'll try to keep you updated as time goes on. And I hope it gives you some inspiration that it doesn't have to be perfect. Try something, see what happens, and go with it. When you learn the mistakes, try something different next time. For now, thanks for tuning in.